We returned to Antarctica in 2024. Starting again in Ushuaia, Argentina, we sailed east to the Malvinas or Falkland Islands. From there we continued another 800 miles east to South Georgia Island. This island had more wildlife than we've ever seen in any one place. We understood why it's also known as the Serengeti of the Antarctic. We then turned south to the beauties and wildlife of Antarctica before returning back to Argentina. It was amazing. Enjoy each episode. Here we are about to land on Grytviken. All right, will you remind me which are these?
See the whiskers on the front and see the fur? Those are South Atlantic fur seals, and those are juvenile elephant seals.
Hi. Grytviken was a former whaling station, and all this equipment was to extract the oil from the whales and the meat.
Okay. So now he's having a territory dispute, so if he comes over here, we move out this way. Okay, everybody move back, please.
Here we are on our walk from the whaling station to the cemetery where Shackleton is buried.
So we got this guy on the boat here. You can see really where the territorial disputes are. Wanted to make sure that everyone knew that he's the boss. A few of the whalers ended up in here. Shackleton obviously ended up.
Sir Ernest Shackleton's grave.
And he died down here in the waters of South Georgia. And like Judge was saying, Frank Wild is next to him. His body's not here, but his ashes were buried here. He was Shackleton's right hand. He was the person who stayed on Elephant Island to keep the morale of the crew up.
Hey, Dad.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. For a second.
We're in Stromness in South Georgia Island, and we're about to do a hike to the waterfall that's in the same pass where Shackleton came across the island and eventually heard the whistle, I think, at Stromness whaling station, and they were saved.
Surrounded by a lot of fur seals. Yes.
On cue.
finally here in Stromness that they arrived when their ordeal was over. One of the greatest journeys that ever happened, and I'm also going to tell you about what happened when they arrived when we get to the waterfall.
Shackleton Falls, which is near where he came, down the last mountain, heading to Stromness station, and they were safe.
The story of the Endurance expedition is widely regarded as one of the greatest stories, really, in the history of scientific expedition. And really, this story is famous because of its last chapter. They'd left Elephant Island, they'd come to South Georgia, but still, there was one great task that remained, and that was actually getting to a point of civilization, which they landed in King's Popcorn Bay, just far, far away from here. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, on 19th of May 1916, they set off on their hike. They walked, they climbed for 40 kilometres, down to this small bit. Now you might look here and say, well, why didn't they go there? Well, that was covered in ice. That was not a sensible idea. The water was probably something about 0 degrees Celsius, and they climbed down it with 15 meters of tarry rope. And it's said that while they were standing at the top, they heard a steam whistle. That was 7 o'clock in the morning, and that steam whistle called the men at the station work. That was what they did at the whaling station. And when they heard that, they knew they were going to be okay. And it said, according to Shackleton, he said, after that, they all looked at each other and shook hands. And the master said, "Who are you?" Now that master had actually waved goodbye to Shackleton 2 years before. So that just gives you an idea of how much has changed over this wrecking 497 days in the Antarctic. But then when Shackleton spoke, he said, "Hang on, I recognise your point." That was all he recognised, because Shackleton was emaciated, that's all of the men.
That black baby fur seal was just born within the last hour.
Wow.
Mama's tired, Dad's watching over everybody.
Say bye.
Bye! That was great.